Welcome back, everybody. This is our third episode of Push to Talk. Super excited that we made it this far with this series. Eventually, I'm going to forget these numbers when we get further down the road. But anyway, welcome to Push to Talk. This is kind of like our, randomized rambling videos where we kind of just pick a topic, then we kind of just go from there. I see I'm wearing a hat for the first time ever on this podcast. I think so.
Those watching the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. People listening are like,
So-
I could feel the hat. I know the hat is on.
Yeah.
It feels like
This
it's
guy,
blue.
this guy sounds like he wears a hat. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I do because I'm bald, and on days I don't shave my head, it looks pretty bummy. So,
Hey, another advantage podcast. They don't have to know you're bald, bro.
I know, just a lie.
Yeah.
no, because where this fucking head is brighter than shit. Okay, they see these videos. So anyway, this hat. Why I brought it up is basically we're talking about Star Trek today. So I just a little well, actually, first I'll introduce. We have Frank here and
Hi.
John, who is joining me to Push to Talk.
Yep.
So I'm a semi newer fan of Star Trek. Okay, I recently got into it from the J.J. Abrams movies, which I super love. I mean, I think they're amazing movies. I know that's super late into the Star Trek game, but that's what really got me hooked. So after that, I ventured off to watching Discovery.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got back off of that and just finally continued finishing season 3 recently. But after that, I was hooked. So that's when I started watching Picard. I watched Picard. I thought it was really good. Kind of a little slow. Yeah, then it kind of picked up towards the end. I like Picard. And then Lower. I'll get your guys' feels on how you feel about these series as well. But then I finished Lower Decks, and then I was like, you know what? I'm all gun-ho with Star Trek right now. I'm going to have Next Generation play in the background. But for the longest time, Frank and John have been talking about Voyager, and I never really gave it a chance. I was like, no, I'm never going to venture out to Voyager. But then they put together a list of episodes, which I totally forgot the list. I don't remember all the episodes, but I feel like
You watched the
more
most
than
important
50%.
one, at least.
Yeah. So I watched some of the Voyager episodes recently, and I do have to say this is probably a series I'm going to revisit.
Yes.
I
You're like, so just a little backup, guys. He's like, I'm not going to tell you guys my opinion until we're recording. And so I'm a little worried. I'm like, if he hates Voyager, I mean, that's the best I could offer him. There's nothing.
It's a long
I mean, there's a lot of other good stuff.
Jump him, but it might be worth it.
I will make that drive.
Oh shoot. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But how did you guys feel? So, have you ventured off? I mean, you both finished Picard, correct?
Yeah. We actually,
Okay,
since you
Frank.
listen to the podcast, you're well aware that we actually reviewed every episode of Picard as they released. Yeah.
And I heard those reviews. I'm pretty sure I heard those
course,
reviews.
of
So that's why I
course.
was just double checking it, fact checking. Okay,
Yeah.
I have to fact check myself. Okay. Now, what did you, Frank, first? What did you feel about the series? Because the way I felt was, okay, it's really neat in the beginning. High budget, it looks pretty, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of slowed down to me towards the middle, but then towards the end of it, when we kind of got past a little bit with the Borg planet and whatnot, I thought it really started picking up, and I started enjoying it again. Kind of feel the same, or no?
So it wasn't what I wanted at first, right? Because I wanted kind of your normal Star Trek, or say like, just any really normal sci-fi where you kind of have a different adventure every time, a new planet every time. It was much more of a story, which is something typical for newer Star Trek. We saw that in Discovery season 1, and actually a lot of season 3, to be honest with you. And so it was something that it wasn't what I was looking for, but I still very much enjoyed it. It was one of those things where every time you saw Riker come back, I was just like, oh my god! I was just excited to see him come back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Of course, 709 and that big Borg ship. Oh, it's always good to see a Borg cube. I love the Borg so much. So that was really cool. And now it's Jonathan's turn to talk as he runs away from the mic.
Yeah, Jonathan walks away. John, how'd you?
I know, I'm such a professional podcaster.
I am not
bro.
editing that
Fan
out.
on
That
it.
stays in.
Yeah. Keep it alive. So
John, what did you think of
I
Picard?
loved Picard, but I totally see
Okay.
what you were talking about, and you're talking about it as a non-Star Trek fan or new to Star Trek person. And me and Frank actually talked to a lot about this in the podcast when we were reviewing the episodes. But there is a fine balance between bringing back the nostalgia from all those real deep saturated fans who loved, Next Generation or Voyager or original series, or any of the old Star Trek, Voyager and Next Generation, and having a broader appeal to new audience members like you to try to get you guys brought in. So you liked some of the stuff that appealed to new people that, you know, you didn't have to know the old characters or be attached to them. But then the slow stuff, like when they're visiting Riker and Deanna Troi, it's like you don't know who these people are. You don't really care about them. But
what a good
for the old
episode,
audience, that, you know, yeah, the old fans are like, oh my god, those people are so cool. Or, you know, they understand the value of Data himself. When he was like, so he's a robot? That's cool. So, you know.
By the way, we're recording this on Data's birthday. So it's actually his real birthday today. So
meant to be.
It's meant to be. Yeah.
All right.
Now, so I totally get what you're saying. For me though, I don't know like a full story of Riker and Deanna, right? In the names. But I did watch a couple episodes of The Next Generation before I got to that part, because The Next Generation is kind of just consistently playing in the background for me. I don't like super pay 100% attention to it because I just don't have that time and ability to.
Yeah, you're a new dad, so you get like a big pass on a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's a little bit of
so I'm watching it. So when I saw them, I was like, "Oh, that's dope." But another thing that I'm going to kind of lead into as well is, have you two fully watched Lower Decks?
Oh yes,
no.
And it's actually my CBS All Access like profile avatar. I love Lower Decks. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm with you on that. I love Lower Decks, and we'll talk about that in a second. But they brought Riker back at the end of that too, and I thought that was holy shit. That is badass that he popped
in a very fun way too. Wasn't very Riker-esque. Yeah.
So then, okay. So John, is it just time or something? Is there something preventing you to not watching Lower Decks? I know that you said something that it's just not as Star Trek-y to you or something like that.
I don't. I would like it as a standalone show. I think it would be totally fine, but it is not a Gene Roddenberry Star Trek at all. It's like comparing Star Trek and Star Wars. It's just not. It's made to be. It's written to be in the same world or universe, but it's not. Nothing about it other than the color schemes and stuff like that, and the names of characters. Other than that, nothing is Star Trek about it. The vibe, the feel, the stories, the message behind any of it, none of it really fits in with any of. And that's kind of what I've liked about all the other Star Trek series is they all share that same like core message and values and theme, and even the new Star Treks, other than this, try to lean back on the Gene Roddenberry style, who's the producer of the previous series. But this just doesn't fit any of that, which I get. Sorry, that's
the dog.
There is a fucking paranormal activity going on in the house.
Seriously.
But yeah, so I do see there is a good place for it, obviously, for the next younger generation, or maybe some guys from our generation that just don't care much for Star Trek but want a more hip, like fun show. It is. Yeah, it's like a Rick and Morty, in space, though, that is also in space, but Star Trek themed. So, yeah, I do think it is fun, but I would prefer it just not even have a Star Trek title, just be another space show. And I feel like it kind of brings down the Star Trek brand, honestly.
What's funny, real quick on this one. As a Star Trek fan, and it's somebody who's been, we've been part of the Star Trek fandom for a long time now, Gene Roddenberry is the end-all be-all voice of the franchise, and what he has set out to do is so important to all of geekdom because it really was a good standard for all creators. And yeah, this show, it's funny because at the end of Lower Decks, the lesson learned from the season 1 is the fact that you need somebody that's willing to break the rules, and that's so anti Gene Roddenberry. Like that's like against, the Prime Directive. Like literally, the lesson is. Sometimes you want to break the Prime Directive. And every time a captain does that, it's always like a test of faith. And when they do it, like especially like in the original series, when somebody broke the Prime Directive, usually Kirk came along to save their ass. And then like in the newer episode, like in Voyager, for example, when somebody broke the Prime Directive, like if Janeway had to, it was with so much debate and thought. And at the end of Lower Decks, it's like, hey, sometimes you need somebody who breaks their Prime Directive. And it's like, no, you can't build a show. As much as I love Lower Decks, you're right with the idea that it's not Star Trek at all, and the fact that this show's idea is it's okay to break the Prime Directive, the main rule in all of Star Trek. So it's just funny that it's. But that being said, I freaking love it. for what it is. To me, it almost feels like it's fan fiction to Star Trek, not Star Trek. So it's fun. I like the idea that there's references that I enjoy, but those references are just that. They're not actually part of the world. They're like referring to the world that I like.
See, and that's why I think I like Lower Decks a lot. Enough to like go and buy a T-shirt of Lower Decks.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a nice. Okay, because because you're saying it's not too much Star Trek as in like the universe it's in. Okay, but I love that it's like a break from other Star Trek shows, but in the universe still.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a nice like, hey, just turn on and laugh a little bit at some stupid shit. And that's what I really like about it. And then I see also an expansion of just Star Trek, period, of doing something different. So obviously that last thing that you said with the lesson learned, do you think that's obviously something that's coming with the series as well? Like, hey, we'll try this. I mean, if it sucks, it sucks, and it doesn't do well. If not, then we'll get a Lower Deck season 2 with the main character on the Riker ship. That's what I liked about it. I think it was like almost like a relaxation, but in the universe that you love so much.
Right. It's totally a fun watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we got. What I appreciated more in Picard, that it is like a one-off series that is, it's different. It's not another captain on a ship with a crew, and they have a mission that they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But it's just like a totally different story that is still in their same world, that kind of brings all these different series together in the same world and makes it more well-rounded. So I mean, I see what you're saying. It's nice to have something else in the Star Trek universe that's not, just another captain on a ship following orders kind of thing.
Have you guys ever seen the series Firefly?
Yeah.
No, I've heard there's like a major fandom over it though.
Yeah, it's extremely good. Yeah. Came out on Fox in like the late 90s. So good that they had to make a movie which was named Serenity, to kind of finish the story up so that the fans can calm down a little bit. Very, very good. Looking back, there's some cheesier episodes than others and stuff like that. And the fact that their profanity is all in Chinese, which is kind of weird. But nevertheless, fantastic show, and crew especially. And that's what Picard, I think, was trying to do a Firefly. Except for the fact that Firefly does what Star Trek does, where they visit new planets every time, and you're meeting because Firefly is a world where there's a massive war, and then you're following the people that lost the war, the rebels that lost the war. And so there are planets that are like the Old West, and so they like literally go to a planet and they visit a small town that has a brothel, like you would see as a cowboy do. But so it's kind of like a Mandalorian in that sense too. But it feels like that's what Picard was trying to be, was a new Firefly. But they missed the mark on changing environments all the time. They try to stick with the story too much, which is common in modern TV.
Yeah, because I was going to say, it doesn't really feel at all that they were going to separate or different planets each episode,
right?
For sure. Now, so you brought it up too, how we have like this linear storyline with Picard, and kind of like with Discovery with the season 1 and 3. And then going back and watching Next Generation and Voyager, yeah, every episode's totally different. Now, would you like, say if there's a new series of Star Trek, whatever, the hell, it comes out tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Would you want to see a linear story? Or do you want to see every episode different? Because the way I take it is I would like to see every episode different, but in the background, there's a plot.
That's Star Trek. What you're describing is Star Trek. There is so like for Voyager, it's a great example of it. I mean, it's probably the most prominent one. The mission home. They have to just get home. They're 70 light years away. They're trying to get home. Mm-hmm. In between that, they're experiencing new worlds, and they're spreading Federation, amazingness to the new Delta Quadrant. But the idea is that they got to get home. And then there are some other plots that last a few episodes long. There's one where Tom Paris is pretending to be betraying the ship and like getting in a fight with Chakotay. It's a really cool, weird thing that happens for like 5 episodes. But it's a one-off. That kind of thing doesn't normally happen. Generally, there's an overarching thing of like, we need to get home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's how it should be, because then you still have the changes, but then there's character development. And one of the episodes that we picked for you, which was probably the first one we're going to talk about, has some weird, cool ending that actually changes the story, but you wouldn't know if you didn't watch that episode that the story had changed. But it's something that lives in the background, and that's a lot of how Star Trek works.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
We'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah.
You'll know right away, John.
John, are you a fan of like every episode being different, or do you like the Discovery? I mean, I'm assuming that you watched Discovery 1 through 3.
Yeah, I've watched
or do you kind of like that long storyline,
Uh,
consistent every
well,
episode?
I like both. I mean, I love Voyager. I've rewatched Voyager probably 7 or 8 times through the whole series.
God damn, that's
I
crazy.
haven't seen all of Next Generation. I'm watching the original series right now, and occasionally I'll put on Next Generation, like you're saying in the background. I've watched some Deep
Yeah.
Space Nine, all of Discovery, Picard. I think that's all of them.
What's
But,
funny, John, you haven't
yeah.
seen the movies though, right?
No, I actually just bought one of them though at their store yesterday. I want to collect them all. Once I finish the original series, I'm going to watch those in order too, so that I can, because I'm going to be taking notes and doing episodes, podcast series based on each episode and everything. But yeah, I like both. I definitely you can't have a individual episode with a small arc per episode without having an overriding arc that covers everything because there's that'd be, I don't know, I think all that would seem like you're changing it all if at the end of each episode your crew dies and wakes up back in their old beds in the same position they were the previous episodes. You want to see that growth, that character development over a long period. But I love that each episode is drastically different too. And sometimes I think it's just how TV was written in the past, because now, back then they didn't know how many seasons they would get, and every episode you had to hook somebody, bring them in, give them a roller coaster ride, and then drop them off at the end. Nowadays, they sell, pretty good to where they can get they know they're going to have a whole season or 2 seasons, 3 seasons to work with, and I think they could do a more broad, long-term story without having to take you on that roller coaster ride every episode. But yeah, I think both are great. I would love to see a new version of Voyager come out and be written and directed and everything just like the original was. But I also love seeing like Picard, and that they could make another series like that that's different and has a longer, deeper developing story. That'd be good too. I think there's room in the industry to have both at the same time.
Now, why do you think? Question for both of you. Why do we think that Discovery season 2, where it was kind of going with that concept that every episode was kind of different, then we switched back to season 3 and it's kind of the same thing as season 1? Is it because they wanted to get this big story arc out of the way, and maybe season 4 will kind of like, okay, we already learned what the burn was all about. Maybe season 4 might be the kind of like what season 2 was.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't really know why they kind of switched it up like that.
I'll tell you what I think. To me, I think it's all behind the scenes stuff, because after that first season came out, there was actually a big fan uproar over 2 things: the connected story and the fact they changed the Klingons. Season 2, Klingons are back to the way they're supposed to be, and story was divided. Then we've got Captain Pike, played by Anson Mount, who killed it. I mean, I haven't seen somebody join the cast of Star Trek.
Oh.
Well, no, Bones. Bones did really good in the movie because Bones captured the old McCoy back in the day. But, I mean, he came in and he was just like, yes, dude, I want that guy to be the captain forever. He's so good. And then they're going to do a spin-off with them. And I think that was the idea. It was like, you know what? We'll have this spin-off. And they've been pitching it. The Star Trek, what's that? Brave New World or whatever it's called. That one will be 100% real Star Trek. And so that I think when they did that, they were like, okay, we could let Discovery kind of turn back to the old ways, the original Discovery.
Okay.
So that they kind of, because the idea, what they're trying to do at CBS is they're trying to make sure that they have a Star Trek on year round. So they don't want them to all be the same Star Trek. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I love Anson Mount. He did great.
That thing you were saying about Star Trek year round, I'm gonna get. Do we want to see for the future of Star Trek? But I want to get to this Voyager. So the couple episodes that I've watched actually from Voyager, like I said, I wasn't really going to give it a chance until they told me the episodes that I have to watch that I agreed upon.
Wait, real quick. Why didn't you want to give it a chance in the first place? What was holding you back?
Probably that fucking cat on the cover.
Oh,
by the way, guys, this asshole is referring to Neelix as the cat on the cover. This asshole.
Yeah, I almost named my son after him.
Yeah, Jonathan almost named a kid after him, and you're gonna call him
Thank God.
He's in the short list.
Thank God you have a wife. That was like, fuck that.
Actually, if Jonathan said it was a cat, she probably would have named it. Named him Neelix.
Oh yeah. Well, we will have a yellow cat at some point.
Oh my goodness. So the first episode I checked out was Deadlock, and one thing I do have to say first is I'm not besides I'm not a big fan of the design of the ship in this Voyager one. You guys, is this like your favorite
Okay,
ship design at all?
so this
from
is
all of
gonna
them?
be a bad conversation the entire time. Huh? This is just gonna be some shit talking the entire time.
Like,
Seriously, it looks like a fucking like a deformed turd. Okay, that's what the ship
So
looks
you're saying the exterior form, like the way it looks from the outside.
Yeah, I'm looking at outside, only outside. I'm not talking about the insides. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I like it. I don't like. I like less how Enterprise has the saucer on the front of it, as if they're trying to imitate a vintage UFO with green aliens kind of thing, and then it happens to have warp nacelles on the back. I like how Voyager was made more like a modern plane kind of shape with a nose and a body and the nacelles on the back.
Yeah.
It seems more like a realistic spaceship than
Some aerodynamics
Enterprise.
to it. Yeah, although there's no
Yeah.
aerospace.
So
but
is
it
this
has some
your
to it.
favorite ship then, John?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And
I
then
mean, it's my
Frank?
favorite ship because I've watched. So.
Right. I'll tell you what. This is. There's an episode where they see a future ship that's like that blew my mind when I saw that one. John, you remember that where they see a future?
Yeah.
It was like, oh my god, that's what they could be. It's great.
Yeah.
Did you see Voyager in Discovery season 3? The new version of Voyager, Voyager Generation 10 or 9 or something like that. Look it up because it uses the living matter or whatever. So like the nacelles are detached, and it's all super sharp and angly, and it just looks like that's the hot rod of Starfleet. It looks really good.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I know I've seen it because I remember. Yeah, because they went into the future like so many different years, and they're all kind of like all missing family and shit because they're alone. So I remember that. I'll look it up because I don't really specifically remember the ship.
One thing to note too is Voyager is a smaller ship than Enterprise. Enterprise has like 430, I think, crew members. And Voyager has about 150.
Yeah, it's not meant for the 5-year mission like Enterprise is. It's just a science vessel, and in this particular very unique case, which wasn't very sciencey, they were out to stop the Maquis. So they weren't even they were supposed to go out, do one thing, capture Chakotay, and then come back in. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I do like the Discovery ship, but I really like the Lower Deck ship, and I think I know it sounds dumb because it's a cartoon. Well, I mean, I guess they're all really fake and animated, but I like how the colors all across the ship. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just really bright. It's almost like a fucking Star Trek in Christmas time frame. Like they just decorated the ship. I really like that one. I like the design of it.
The interiors are something unique. So of course it's hard to not say Voyager for me, right? Because it's just like that's the one that it's my favorite. Voyager's my favorite of all. So, but the interiors especially are really cool on Next Gen when they had like all the wood interior. Looks really cool. And then so that is really close to my favorite. But my favorite has to be J.J. Abrams' ship because it's just that really polished, like it looks like iPhone made, like Apple made the inside of the Starfleet ships. It's all that real polished white with all the gleams, and he's got the light flares everywhere. It's kind of like, beautiful. It's just really nice. I think that was probably my favorite one.
What's funny too is when you compare all the different ships and their consoles and their technology and stuff like that from every season, it's such a direct representation of that era in our history. Yeah. So when you watch back the original series, now we think of, we used to think about somebody reading the paper on the subway. Oh, but in the future, they're going to read electronic paper and it's going to, whatever, it'll upload the news. Yeah, it's called a cell phone. It has everything in it. We just didn't know that's how it was going to shake out, but it's got, the full internet. So when you look at their consoles on the original series, it's like a submarine. Everything has a button, and every button has a color. And you take out a cartridge and put in another cartridge, a different job. And it's so rudimentary, but that's exactly like what their super advanced technology at the time was. So they figured that's what's going to get us into space. But it's funny when we look at all the different series. Their technology reflects on their era or generation at the time.
Yeah. To the Voyager, to the submarine thing too. Even Spock looks through like a eye viewer at his panel, which it reminds you when you go into a submarine, like when you look through the thing to look around. That's what Spock does. He does that on the console, and it's so weird that. So I personally, I've always thought like Star Trek is if the Navy let us into space, and Star Wars is if the Air Force let us into space, right? And because you have like these big ships with smaller ships that go off of them, stuff like that. And it's just so funny to think of, especially if you watch the first movie, John, when you watch the first movie, that last battle, if you want to call it that, in Star Trek movie is straight up like a submarine fight. It's just a submarine fight. It's so weird now, looking back. Yeah.
Now you're talking about the J.J. Abrams' first movie, right?
Yes.
For
Well, no,
okay,
I'm sorry.
okay,
I was
okay.
explaining to him
Now,
like the first movie, not the J.J.
Is
Abrams
it
ones.
Contact? Not the
No,
first
okay,
First
okay.
Contact's not the first one. No, there's actually
one.
like it's called Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the original series, right after the
And
original series.
generally, that movie's really bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. Star Trek 2 is where it's at. That's with Khan, and that's where you get the classic "God," yelling into the skies, and it's super good. But yeah, the first one you gotta watch because you gotta watch them in order. But yeah,
Did you know Khan was first introduced in the middle of the series, not just in that
yeah,
movie?
they refer to
I
it in
didn't
the
know.
movie. Yeah,
I just watched that episode last night. I was like, wait a minute, that guy's Khan. That's
yeah,
like the one from the movie. I haven't even
that's
really seen
the
I've
badass.
seen
Yeah,
but not paid attention to. Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
man, that's cool. That's a big deal. I just
He's
stumbled across something.
isn't he by himself in the original series? Like he's just a solo guy. He's not. He doesn't have like a group with him yet.
No, he was the one that his bio bed was failing or whatever, so
Yeah.
they extracted him and wake him up, and then he same as kind of like the movie. He's trying to save his people, and they're like superhumans and
Yeah.
this whole thing.
But
Yeah.
in the regular Star Trek 2, not the remake where he's by himself, but in the regular Star Trek 2, he has a band of people with him that are all superhumans as well. And so
Okay.
he has like a crew of superhuman people with him that are like
Yeah.
extra badass. Yeah.
now I know I'm trying to get to this Voyager thing, but I keep like these questions keep popping up.
Hey, that's all
So with the movies, is there a certain what is there a certain time where I need to watch, like say like that movie you were talking about with Khan popping up? So is this after the Next Generation? Is this, can I just pick it up, play right now, and then who
No,
really cares?
I recommend watching them all in order, which I'm doing, so we can watch and review different episodes, or at least talk about them back and forth. Because I'm watching the original series right now. Every night I put it on. I'm trying to pay attention to, specific episodes, and then I'll just let it run. But
Yeah.
back to it, it's like, all right, I actually remember episode 5, so let me go back to 5. But then, yeah, once you finish that series, watch the movies that came out after it, so that you get the whole story in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
So,
the original movies, like the original crew movies with Shatner, those all came out after the series because the series actually wasn't all that popular. It was after the series was done is when it became popular. And then we talked about Martin Luther King was a big fan of it while it's live, but nevertheless, it wasn't all that popular. Afterwards, it was more popular, so they started making the movies for it. That's why Shatner looks so different in the films because he's quite a bit older. And then the popularity of those movies led to Next Generation happening. And then there's where they have the two crews together, and then eventually you have Next Generation movies, which are fantastic. I'm a big fan of Nemesis, and I know a lot of people are not. But Nemesis with Tom Hardy as the bad guy before he was buff, awesome. Yeah, he's in that movie. He's a clone of Picard. It's really cool.
oh, okay, damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to this
Yeah.
Voyager. So I watched the first episode of Deadlock,
Mhm.
and out of all the episodes that I watched, this was probably my favorite story
Yeah.
of the 4 that I watched. I thought Deadlock was super unique for the fact that it was like that whole like what do you call it? Like universes pulling apart, but they're the same.
Do you want to kind of explain the story for those who are not familiar with Star Trek Voyager or any?
Oh God, you're asking me to explain a story that I'm really not that familiar with.
I'm sure Jonathan can do it for you if you can.
John, they pull apart. It's like themselves in different universes. You got it. You can do it.
Yeah, so they're running away from the Vidians, right? Voyager was attacked by like a Vidian warship, and they go into a plasma nebula, I think it was. And in that nebula, they are somehow struck by an energy surge from the nebula, and
It
they
was
are
like a millisecond or something.
and they're shifted out of phase with themselves. A duplicate of Voyager is made phases with each other. One of them is perfectly healthy, staying fine, not a big deal. The other one is just constantly getting berated with these attacks that they can't identify, and their ship is falling apart, and everything's going wrong. They think pretty soon we're gonna have to abandon ship. Well, you got to forgive me. I don't remember the exact reason, but for some reason, the one that's perfectly fine cannot survive for whatever. They're they're stuck in that position in space or something. They're locked down. So, but they do find a rift between their two ships where you're able to jump through this portal pretty much to get into the other ship. And in the one that's falling apart, Harry had died, and Naomi Wildman, the baby. What's her name? Yeah, Naomi Wildman. I forgot her mom's name, but
Ensign Waldman.
Yeah. Um, those two had died. So they communicate. I think is Janeway talking to Janeway. She actually met face to face, and they hashed out a plan, and they send Harry with the baby from the healthy ship back onto the almost destroyed ship, and they find a way to get it away. So it was the one that was just limping that was able to survive, and the one that was stuck. I think it still ended up having to be destroyed to separate the two.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it was, I thought it was super. Well, I mean, a lot of these Star Trek episodes I feel like are really unique anyway, in things they come up with. But I really like that one because it was like they were trying to communicate in a way to themselves. It was pretty different. Like one's obviously in distress, one's not. But I really like when Janeway was talking to Janeway in person for the fact that, hey, what if we do this plan? No, it won't work because of this. And then the other Janeway was like, oh, what if we do this? And it was going back and forth, and I really like that. So there's an experience loss, and that's when, like you just said, the baby died and Henry died. If I remember the name correctly. So, and I was like, oh shit, this dude really just got sucked into space. Like, oh shit. Right. So, some of the things, because I was taking notes on each episode, and I do have to say, I've been talking shit on this cat, dude, Neelix.
Yeah.
And the fact that maybe sometimes he's
I know.
He makes all this food. He makes all this food and whatnot. And then in the beginning of the episode, he asked that pregnant chick to be like, "Hey, can you fix, I don't know, my fucking microwave or some shit that he want to fix?" She's selfish as fuck. She decides to go in labor, and he still has broken
so
shit
selfish.
Okay, God damn. One thing that I thought was kind of weird too is if you to remember this, the woman that was having the baby, she ended up having complications because the baby twisted in her, and they kind of like And I'm like, why didn't we just do that in the beginning? Like, I know it's a more they said it was like more of a risk, whatever, but I'm like, it seemed pretty like painless when you actually fucking did
it. Especially with this doctor who's like the most precise doctor in history. This is the best doctor ever. That's one thing that's hard. So it's kind of hard because you haven't watched like the first couple episodes of Voyager and so the relationship between the Maquis and the Voyager crew, you might not understand that 100%. The fact that the Doctor is just their emergency program that they're having to keep on this entire time doesn't quite land. So it's kind of tricky. Like it's hard because
seeing a lot of character development that makes like this cat guy like, oh my god, that's the coolest guy. I wish he was my uncle. Or this doctor like, man, I wish I could just like have him live as my Alexa because he's just a cool guy. Like
and he's not meant to be used, and he's having to like straight up learn. And his program can't do that. And there's some episodes where they have malfunctions because he's like having to expand his programming. And it's just
in early episodes, he's like, "Can you guys just turn me off when you leave? Like, what am I supposed to? I'm just on. Like, I'm there's nobody to fix, so turn me off." And it's funny because they're like, "Well, don't you just want to like read or something? Like, just hang out?" And he's like, "No, I'm just a program."
Does he? Yeah. In that episode in Deadlock, does he leave Medbay in the office or no?
That's not until season 3, I think, right?
Okay. I'm wondering if that's something that happened in that episode yet or not.
The Doctor? Does he go anywhere?
I don't remember him leaving. I remember he was trying to defend the baby from being attacked, but he was hiding in the med bay still. So
a really cool thing about the Doctor is he eventually gets a device called the mobile emitter, which lets him walk around the ship because he has a badge on his arm that's basically emitting him because he's a hologram. That piece of technology is from what generate? It's like how much? What do you know? What time it's from, John? It's from like a couple hundred years in the future. They end up getting it back into the past so that he can exist. So he's wearing a piece of future tech, and that's awesome. And then you got to think there's an episode where there's a Borg that ends up like melding with his future tech and creates a future Borg that becomes a good guy. I mean, there's like Voyager's like one of just the best shows ever. And what has to be mentioned on this one, I want to make sure you don't miss it, Squeaks. For the rest of Voyager's seasons, for the rest of Voyager, that's not their Harry Kim or Naomi Wildman. That's a different one.
Okay, so that's literally what I'm going to next, okay?
Oh, okay. Good. I want to make sure you got that.
The ending So the ending of this is I freaking love for the fact that, like, okay, they jump into the, whatchamacallit, they go back to the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right here. So it's like watching Rick and Morty in a way to where, like, hold on, what the fuck? That's not that, but we have to continue with these people, but that's not like we know that's not them though. So it's like, holy shit, like that stuff like turns me on.
Should evacuated everybody from one ship to the other and just have clones of everybody?
So they said they couldn't do more than like 5 people, I think, if I remember
Okay.
right. Something like that. Yeah, there was like a limit of how many people, because they thought about that. One of the Genways were like, "Well, we'll just all transfer your ship," and they're like, "No, you can only do like 2 to 5 people or some shit." Um, but I was like, "Damn, that's so cool," because that's what I love so much about Rick and Morty is that, oh shit, the Rick and Morty we knew from the beginning is dead, and now we get this alternate universe one where, yeah, it's Rick and Morty, but it still feels different.
Yeah.
And I like in this episode the misdirection. The whole time you're thinking like, oh man, that's a lost cause. They're getting so beat up, and yet somehow this other one's totally fine. So at least we're going to be preserved. We'll still have all the crew that we like and know. They'll live on. These other ones are just going to have to die off, unfortunately. And then it's like, nope, that one's got to go from 10% of life support and get all the way back to 100. The other one's staying where it is, or it's going to be destroyed or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, dang, that sucks. So we got to recover from destroyed, and barely hanging on. But like you'll see if you watched Year of Hell when Janeway's looking through the what do you call that?
The best episode.
The whole front of the ship is torn off, and she's just looking through a force field that's just keeping the ship together. It's like, oh my god, that's so badass.
And she just straight up, just biggest dick captain ever move. She's such a fucking badass. I love Voyager. It's driving me nuts that you've only seen 3 episodes. I mean, like, I'm happy you watched some Voyager, but now I'm just like, and I remember one of the episodes you didn't watch that we put on the list was Living Memory.
Oh, did you find the list?
Well, I just happened to remember, like, oh, that's right, that's one of them I want to make sure you see. But I'll bring it up after we're done talking about Deadlock. Yeah.
Okay. So my question for you guys is Voyager after Next Generation time wise, not story timeline, but production wise, like it was after. Was the one directly after?
Yeah. Well, actually,
is after Voyager.
Deep Space Nine is started before. John was one clarifying for this to me. Deep Space Nine started right after Next Gen, production wise, and then Voyager was while that was still airing as well.
I think Deep Space Nine was on for like a year or 2 before Voyager started.
Mm-hmm.
So they were running most of the time together.
Yeah. Because the only reason why I said, because what I really noticed is the camera angles and were a lot different compared to watching Next Generation instead of just like still. They're kind of like the curves and stuff. It's just more modern, I guess you could say. Yeah. So yeah. But on top of that too is what I loved so much, and I was texting John about this either. Like the production of the actual equipment, and it literally feels like, okay, we built this room, okay, and we're gonna fucking blow it up, okay. To where like the things were fun. It was almost like I was feeling at the back lot of like a Universal Studios, to where it shows like, okay, hey, look, the tubes come on fire, this desk blows up, and this stuff like that. And it really feels like, okay, that shit's there instead of just kind of like CGI-ish.
Yeah, it's really good production quality, especially for a Star Trek. And the budget isn't huge, but they put a lot into making those sets like solid and sturdy and feel so real, especially when it's falling down on top of you.
Yeah, and I don't know, something about that is where I'm more appreciative, and then having a lot of the CGI effects really into everything. Yeah. Like if there's a fire, you really know, like, oh shit, this. Janeway's really standing in front of a fire, which I'm gonna get to in this Year of the Hell here shortly. But is that something that I guess nowadays everything looks a lot better. We don't really see that as much if they were to use that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of comparing to Discovery, and it's like, man, Discovery I could see like on a green screen all day, but maybe it's just that good with the cameras. Is this something that should just keep going way past that? We'll never see this ever again.
So you're wanting to see more practical effects than
Even though it might not look as clean or something, but it's still like it really is there,
I think the new Star Trek with Pike might be willing to do that more. Yeah, because it's one of those things. It's kind of like when J.J. Abrams redid Star Wars. Was the idea like, oh yeah, we're going to bring in a bunch of practical effects, stuff like that. We might see that. The Star Trek fandom is funny because unlike the Star Wars fandom where it's like a lot of mainstream people like it too, and so everything that's said gets amplified real fast. In the Star Trek fandom, there's not a lot of mainstream fans. The fans that are there are insanely loyal and opinionated, so they will make adjustments for them. But there is this like level of like, I'm still going to watch every Discovery, even if it's not what I would like, because we just don't get enough Star Trek. And so even if they never touch practical effects again, like when the prequels came out. Well, yeah, even my parents know that movie was too much CGI kind of thing. But in Star Trek, they don't know that Discovery didn't use too much of a linear storyline, when that's more of a fandom kind of thing. So I think that might be the difference there.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like you're right about the fan stuff, because if you're saying Discovery season 1 is so much different than 2, it's because of the shouting and screaming from these fans, and obviously they definitely would probably listen more than what the Star Wars fans would do, or listen.
Right. Well, the thing is but the Star Trek fans will still, like, even when they're at their angriest over like the changed Klingons thing, they're still happy to have Star Trek, and even like that. I mean, right. And when you'll have people that are like mad at Star Wars and stuff like that, and I don't know, it's hard to explain. They'll still be very happy with it, and they'll be excited when they see, like, Enterprise is a really good example. I'm not necessarily a big Enterprise fan, Star Trek Enterprise, but when we saw them at the convention, they had plenty of fans that were super supportive, and it was just cool to see them and stuff like that. Like, it's still really cool. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to jump ship. Go ahead.
I say, it's like when you're starving at a fancy restaurant and your risotto isn't cooked just right. You're going to be pissed off about it, but you're going to eat it because you're starving.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You'll probably tell them something, but they're not going to take it back and recook it because you're starving.
Yeah.
So you want more Star Trek, even if it's bad.
I think a lot of it is, oh, really, John? Because that's why you haven't seen Lower Decks yet. But okay, anyway.
Oh, yeah. I'll watch it eventually, just not yet.
Yeah. So now, not really like meaning to jump shit, but I'm going to jump shit a little bit because of what you're saying. So if all the fans were saying, like, hey, Star Wars, your latest trilogy is fucking trash, okay? And now we got Mandalorian. Are our standards now, because of Mandalorian, a lot more higher to where we might not be as acceptant?
Definitely.
Maybe something else, yeah. Because I'm thinking, like, okay, yeah, we're still going to watch it, but I think at the point, Star Wars already... Well, this is my opinion, too. I don't like the newest trilogy. Like, shit like that, I don't really want to watch their stuff anymore.
Yeah.
But now that I'm watching, like, I enjoyed Rogue One. I know Han Solo got a lot of beef, not being very well, but I kind of enjoyed it. But Mandalorian now, it's like everything needs to be on that level. Right. So, do you think they'll actually? Do you think fans will be like that now? It's like kind of like the Star Trek, what you're saying.
No, I think. Well, personally, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt. Personally, I think that what they're going to do with Star Trek is they're just going to give you what you want in another show. So I think there will be. Like, if you're not a fan of the linear stories, don't watch Picard, or Discovery. Discovery's kind of the hybrid one, right? If you don't like the off the beaten path of Lower Decks, don't watch it. But you will have your favorite Star Trek show on at some point. Okay. So because luckily because of Paramount Plus, what was CBS All Access, they just want to create content, and they know if they have the Star Trek name, it's the thing they own, is so powerful that every Trekkie will pay for that few months to make sure to watch their favorite show. They'll do it for that. It's the reason that, like, Mandalorian's not going anywhere, The Witcher's not going anywhere, because that guarantees Netflix and Disney Plus 2 months of your time. That's what they need.
Now, so with Paramount Plus, I saw that advertised now on my CBS app. So it's just like a Paramount bought the CBS deal, or they're merging.
No. Yeah, Viacom merged with CBS 2 years ago now, and I think it was 2 years ago. And they're just they're just changing the name over, and now they're gonna bring in the Viacom / mostly Paramount library. So you're just gonna get more stuff. Nothing else is gonna change. You're gonna get more things though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I saw they were advertising like the SpongeBob stuff and whatever the hell, I forgot what it was, like, Jersey Shore-ish, I guess, something. Oh,
I can't wait for Jersey Shore. Oh yeah.
Oh my god, big fan. We should do a podcast of just Jersey Shore.
No.
I'm gonna sit out on that one. I think I'm gonna. That's when you're gonna finally have a different guest than me.
Yeah. You and Joe Bear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Joe. I know Anthony was a fan of it back in the day.
Oh yeah, especially when they go to Italy. Fucking best season ever.
Okay, we'll take your word for it.
One thing that I noticed. So we'll go on to. Is it Year of Hell?
Year of Hell,
right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Year of Hell Part 1. I made a couple notes here. Here's a couple notes here as well. I'm a little confused, a little lost. Okay, so, and I know you guys will be able to fill me in, and I don't want to like stand all day just trying to fill me in. But what was the deal of making the Voyager suffer the whole time? Because of what?
He was trying to push them out of time. He was trying to erase them from time. So his ship, the Krenim ship, has the technology to very well calculated, erase a
Yeah.
species from the change of that one butterfly didn't get squished 16 million years ago, and your entire planet didn't get populated. So he was trying to push Voyager out, but Voyager, being as advanced as they are, made a Borg modification to their shielding to have temporal shielding. So they were trying to resist their time change the whole time, but it was still doing a lot of damage to the ship in the process.
It kept throwing their calculations off too. Every time he would do something, it was like pinging off of Voyager and changing everything else, where all of a sudden his people were at a bigger disadvantage and stuff. So that's why Voyager wasn't changing.
This concept really reminded me of like Civil War II, the comic books. I don't know if you guys read like Civil War II at all. Basically, like Captain Marvel knowing the future and like, okay, we're gonna stop the villains before it happens, and Iron Man's like, no, we can't be doing this because they could just be like one day fishing on a fucking lake, and next thing you know, they're being arrested for something that they don't even know what happened. You know, they're being arrested for. That's something could be in the future. So I like that. That's neat. But the thing, what I enjoyed is that, are these like people, this race, gonna ever pop up again? Because I feel like they are insanely fucking strong.
They don't come back again in the Voyager series, but they are in the book series. And so I just started reading. I just listened to the Audible of one of the books, or two books actually. But now I'm like, okay, I got to buy the whole collection. So once I'm done watching all of Star Trek, in between watching the movies and stuff to go along with the show, I've got to read all the books that I can find, because I want to figure out when they interact with them. Because the book that I was just reading, Voyager and a group were sent out to do. They're called the Full Circle Fleet, and they're supposed to just go out into the Delta Quadrant and do like a full circle and come back. And so the main purpose of that, I think, in the book was it's like a secret mission to make peaceful first contact with the Krenim. They know that they have this temporal shift power, or whatever, the ability to change time. So they have like time protected records and everything, and a way to alert themselves if a change is made. And it's all this stuff going on to try and interact with them without being attacked by them. But Janeway's a little smarter than that. She's like, sometimes you just don't poke the bear, kind of thing, and wants to stay away. So it's really like, that's just what I got from what little bit I heard from another book that isn't even quite to them yet. It's before that. So I still want to hear what happens with them.
Question for you, John. How do they know that the Krenims have the time shift powers ability?
Voyager explained it all when they got back.
No, but Voyager doesn't know that there's time shift after the events of Year of Hell.
Spoiler alert, we're getting there.
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question.
We better fucking write a
we poked
review
a hole on this bitch. Okay, somebody tell Jerry Ryan. I broke a hole in her story there. No, because that's interesting. I wonder if they get back and they like do like a deep scan on the computers or whatever, and they're like, "What's going on here? Voyager was destroyed," or something like that. Well,
because there's the Temporal Prime Directive, and there's the I don't remember the right name, but it's pretty much their time cops. They have like an order of time cops, time police, or whatever.
Time cops is perfect. Yeah,
it's not. I know it's not the right term. People are probably screaming at their phone right now.
Van Damme's
but they developed a system like where they have buoys. Even I think a buoy that they would leave out for their records. So all of their files would get updated to that, and then it would periodically compare the time protected records versus their live records. And if they find a small deviation of any sort, it alerts them in time, and then they can check and figure out what it was. And they have temporal shielding now too. They can shield the ship, but it can only last for a certain amount of time or whatever.
So I wonder if like they found out that like, there's definitely somebody changing time out there, and Voyager went through there. So Voyager, whether they know it or not, must have experienced them, kind of thing.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Even Janeway, when she got home, couldn't tell anybody about that story because she didn't know about it by the end of the episode.
Yeah,
that's a trip. That's a good question.
This episode so much.
I need to get through all those books. There's like 8 books already that I haven't read. I read the last 2 of this series so far, but not all the ones before it. So it's like
I think other people should listen to them too, and their best chance to listen to them is to check out audibletrial.com/geekfreaks. I think that's their best bet.
Right. Yeah. So there's 2. The 2 that I listened to were from that series, but there's like 6 books before that too. So hit up Audible and convince them to put them all on there because I much prefer listening, reading it myself.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a lot faster.
One thing, because the reason, like the technology is so insane that they could be an intense villain. How easy they are to manipulate the time. And one of my favorite things was horrible at the fucking names. The character with the tattoo, like Mike Tyson tattoo on him.
Chakotay.
Okay, so he gets on the shit.
I know. That's what, he doesn't know about the Maquis, which is killing me myself, right? Like how important Chakotay really is. Sorry, go ahead.
So he was explaining to the 70s show, Dad, and that's how all my characters are gonna be. Like,
yeah, Red. We'll just call him Red. I'm good at that.
Okay, so they're explaining like, okay, so what happens if we like miss this asteroid? And they look on the screen and everything information changed. Like, well, if you miss an asteroid, you'd be responsible of killing this many people, and 8,000 species wouldn't have survived right now. I'm like, holy shit, how dope is that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just think like they're just ultimately so powerful. But part 2 though is just gonna get kind of lead me to just a little fun question. Janeway is probably the best fucking commander of all Star Trek I've ever watched. So far.
Done. All right,
Like,
you are on board. Exactly.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Like because so watching like Picard himself in Next Generation, he's stern, he's business or whatever, but Janeway has something into where like, you know, if we're all gonna die, we're all gonna die, or like this attitude of like, fuck that, this is what we're doing. And a lot of it showed obviously in the ending of the part 2, where she was like, screw it, I'm gonna crash my ship in, it's for my people. Whatever. It's always for like, I guess it's so like not selfish in a way, you know, like
selfless.
Yeah, so strong and it's like, damn, man, that's a fucking leader right there, you know. Yeah. I don't know. It's now the question, because you guys are Voyager fans, I'm assuming like if you had to be in any ship, pretty much under any commander, you'd probably be with Janeway. I'm assuming, or
Janeway all day, every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to get around any other ship.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know how to navigate. I'd get lost.
I can tell you. Oh man, Squeaks. There's one episode where the ship is like in different timelines within the ship, and it's like it's so cool because then they're like go over here and the kids are young and they go over there and they're like, oh, this one's back when some other bad guys took over the ship, and like it's so cool. It's like, yeah, man. The holodeck alone on Voyager is fantastic. There's the World War II episode is one of my actual favorites. I didn't want to share with you because it was like you have to know the crew first. But I mean, oh man, so
the
good.
Killing Game Part 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
One thing too is like she really gets in these arguments that she's gonna do whatever she wants to do, and a lot of it too that I liked a lot was in Deadlock, where Janeway was talking to Janeway, what you're gonna do because this is the way I think, and it was so like, hey, I'm gonna go and make sure this gets done. And then in the part 2, the Year of Hell part 2, she's arguing with the Doctor of like, if you're gonna stop me, you're gonna have to kill me because I don't give a shit about you. Have no power to like, what was it like? Say you're not fit for duty.
Yeah.
So then ultimately leads into where she crashed the ship into the that race. So you guys gotta fill in that Krenim.
Yeah, which his name's Anorak. I looked it up. The leader of the Krenim ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the one I kind of thought that I was like, wonder if these people, Krenim, are the reason why they just can't really get back home. And then after she crashes it and then it restarts, I was like, fucking what an ending.
What an ending. And then she comes across that one ship that's like, hi, welcome to this area of space. And it's like, one of my favorite things about that episode, which we really haven't explained this episode much, but anyways, they keep coming across like that same guy that's like the welcoming committee in different states where he's just like, we're a pathetic army, and then next is like, welcome to the war zone, and then he's like, it's just great because it's like depending on how well his people are is depending on how aggressive he is. If they're the dominant species, he's like, get the fuck out. And so I just love that.
I didn't even get out. He'll be just casually like, oh, we're going to be taking your ship and all of these people are going to be slaves on our planet and we might not execute you depending if you have a strong back.
If you're a good slave.
That's
So with this though, I kind of like that also too is that his crew was kind of turning on him as well because it's been so long. They're like, look, bro, I'm tired as fuck. We need to stop doing this.
You got to think they're outside of time, so it might have been 10 years. It might have been 6,000 years. They could have been doing it forever.
I thought they said something like 200 years, if I remember correctly.
They said 200,
They said
200. Yeah. So So they got I just that ending. So far with these episodes that I've watched, the endings have been phenomenal. It's like jam packed. Okay, so like a jam packed 2-parter with a beautiful ending. It's like, man, that was only 2 episodes in the series or in the season, and it was, God, it was so
good.
memorable.
Yeah. So for
that
anybody
is widely, that is like the best episode though. Like everybody agrees, like that is the best episode. And then Endgame is probably like the second best one, which is the series finale, and has like time travel and Borg and upgrades to the ship that are fucking cool, and it has like a little bit of everything that the series can provide. Yeah.
So for anyone listening, the Year of Hell, because we just briefly touched on like the story of it, but Voyager encounters a time travel or a time manipulating ship that can erase an entire species from existence. And Janeway's fighting it. They're trying to push Voyager out of time. Eventually, after Voyager's almost destroyed and she's sent everybody away and stuff like that, she crashes Voyager, as dismantled as it is, into this time ship, controlled by the, and it destroys the time ship, which erases all of their interactions and undoes the damage the time ship had done. And then Voyager's just cruising on its way, on course to get home, like they never encountered.
So, it rewinds time by 1 year. It's the Year of Hell. Yeah.
And it's and it's the same thing of like Deadlock, where it's like, oh shit, like we're just gonna forget like all that happened and just continue with the story. So I thought those were, I don't know, just beautifully done so far. So I'm really liking the episodes that you gave me so far.
Yeah.
I started Void, couldn't finish it because I have a daughter that just won't let me finish it right now. Crawling around getting in everything. So basically, we can try to sum this up. I don't really have too much
John and I think should sum it up again.
Because I mean he's doing a beautiful job at doing it.
He's doing great. He needs the practice.
So far it's dark as shit because there's no stars, and that's all I got.
And someone's real good
Voyager gets sucked into a vacuole of space. There's a void in space, like a pocket that exists outside of the rest of space. It's just like, though space is a vacuum, this is a vacuum within the vacuum. It's like gravity or quantum mechanics, whatever forces these ships to be stuck inside there. They can't get out. Yeah. So in there's no resources. So everybody who's been in there has been in there for a long time, and they're running out of energy. They're running out of food, water, and everything they need. And so
and I just real quick, I got to the part where Janeway is trying to make her own alliance just to trade within each other to other resources.
Yeah. So everyone that gets drawn into this void gets picked at right away by the vultures. Everyone swarms around and just starts beaming everything off their ship, taking resources they need, and destroy the ship while they're at it. Why not? Janeway, fights back and defends themselves, but some of their technology is stolen. So she tries to make an alliance with other people and says, "Hey, we're gonna share. We'll bring in any new ships that join, or ships that are here. We're gonna give you medicine, food, anything you need, anything we have to offer. We will divide it amongst everybody peacefully, and together we'll collectively find a way to get out of here. And we won't starve, because any new ship coming in, we'll invite them, we'll protect them. They'll be part of our alliance, and we'll share their resources as well. And then, everybody else like, oh no, that's not going to work. You're gonna get taken advantage of and destroyed, and blah blah blah. Nobody's going to want to work with you. We'll take your food, but we don't want your help, kind of thing. And sure enough, Voyager finds a way to get out of the void, and that's what she was dead set on. Is like, we're not going to be in here for years like you guys. We're going to find a way out. Like, we have hope that we'll escape. And so, sure enough, Voyager leads the way and is able to get out of there. And I think she brought 3 other ships along with her, something like that.
Yeah, my favorite thing about that episode is it's Janeway making the Federation again, and it's reminding the viewers why, because this series doesn't have the Federation, but this episode does, and it reminds you why the Federation is so badass. That like, humans are cool, but when you add Vulcan, like it's this much better, and that's what we saw in that episode. Is like, Voyager has this tool, and then you bring in the guys that are the spies. John, I know you know what I mean by the spies. They bring in this tool and stuff like that, and like, it's just so cool. And even like when one guy starts to steal, and they like counter it with like justice, and it's just like, this is the Federation. It's just a microcosm of it, so you can see why it's so amazing.
Yeah. But even so far from home, way out in the Delta Quadrant, Janeway holds up the principles of the Federation, and we're not going to become savages. We have something worth fighting for, and that's our humanity and integrity and all that stuff.
The most Gene Roddenberry episode ever.
Right? Exactly. See, that's what we're missing.
The Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did get to the part where it was like they had people come on their ship and then they were feeding them. They're like, "Hold on, how'd you get this kind of food?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we helped this person get whatever food. I don't know, fucking, I don't remember,
Yeah.
but pretty much like that." So I really like how there are like that it's like a small federation in this little, I mean, a small federation that she's building. Um, So I'm gonna obviously finish that episode, but I do think like overall I'm gonna revisit this Voyager series. I think it's super great. I think after I finish with Next Generation, I'm gonna jump to Voyager. Is a question though? Is Deep Space Nine? What do you guys think of that?
I
is
haven't
it
watched
like
it all. I've watched like probably a couple dozen episodes. It feels a lot like Voyager, except I mean in the design and the technology in it and everything. It was aired just before, pretty much at the same time as Voyager. The difference is the setting is totally different. The plot is totally different because Deep Space Nine is a space station near the Bajoran homeworld, so it's, an alien race, and there's Cardassians and stuff like that. Romulans.
Okay.
Romulans and Bajorans are commonly on the space station, and so there's a lot of like that social political game going and stuff like that. But it's not wandering through space very much. They are near a wormhole that goes to the beta or gamma quadrant, I think. So sometimes they'll go through the wormhole and find some weird alien or something like that. But for the most part, it's on the space station. So it's a different feel, a different setting. I don't think it's as fast moving, but it is a lot more of that like social political stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still a really good series, and it's similar technology and everything, look and feel as Voyager.
Okay, so then for you, Frank. So I'm guessing Deep Space Nine is pretty good for you too. Like you enjoyed it, whatnot.
I have only watched a few Deep Space Nines. For me, I like the time travel episodes are my favorite ones. So I've watched every time travel episode of every other franchise, and then I'll kind of like bounce around. I'll like randomly put a next gen on. But Deep Space Nine is actually probably like my least watched of all of them. But yeah, it's definitely good, and it's definitely on the list.
Yeah. Okay, so then so my question is, okay, so besides just having Next Generation play in the background and I'll watch like focus wise, I'll watch Voyager. What should be the next thing that I jump into after Voyager? Should I go back and watch the original series, kind of like what John's doing right now, or
no? I think you should watch Enterprise, the one that nobody likes.
Enterprise.
Okay. I like that one too. I've only watched probably 6 or 7 episodes. Yeah,
I haven't watched any of that one. I almost don't even count it as a Star Trek.
It is. So it's so funny because if you don't know Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise, people often confuse it for Next Generation because the ship is Enterprise. Even the original series ship is Enterprise. This one started in like the year 2000 or 2002, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's after Voyager, but the time frame of the show actually takes place before the original series.
It's the first Federation ship with warp, so it's like the very first ship basically.
And it's like the first Vulcan on a human ship and stuff like that. So it's all new things, but it's in a time, the original series that was in the 80s. This is modern technology. 60s, yeah. Old times back in the day.
Yeah, it's not back then.
But yeah, it's really cool. Like one of the first few episodes, they talk about beaming somebody up, and they're like, "Wait, we can't use that kind of technology on a human, right?" And they've never done it, but we take advantage of the original series. They'd beam me up, Scotty. They would beam people back and forth. So this is taking place when we just got past rocket ships, and then we had NASA and basic spaceships. Now we finally got war. Yeah, and there's other like steps in technology that we're seeing. It's filling the gap between where we are, now or maybe 50 years from now, and then where they end up, hundreds of years from now, presumably. Or it is, but yeah, it's pretty good series.
So Frank brought up like, okay, a lot of people don't like the series. Why is that? Because honestly, when you bring up Enterprise, I was kind of like at first the same thing, like, oh, what, Next Generation? I don't really see this one advertised as much, like when I go scrolling through the Star Trek. So what is it that a lot of people don't like about this one?
Yeah, it's definitely the least liked of amongst the Star Trek fandom. I think it's just the timing. It came after Deep Space Nine and Voyager, both airing simultaneously. And I think at that point there was straight up a Star Trek fatigue. And so, can't really imagine it now, but there was a point in time when there was just too much Star Trek. It sounds great. Because not only was Voyager, like for example, Voyager had a new episode, I think it was every Wednesday, but they were also aired on the same exact channel that they did the new episode. They also aired reruns every single night. And so, I mean, you could always watch it. That's how I spent my high school days, was every night I was watching Voyager. But yeah, so it was a lot of Star Trek coming out. And so when it came out, and then it wasn't like, I mean, it had a good crew, and the reason I suggested too is it has better graphics than Voyager and Deep Space Nine. It was actually a decent jump graphically. And then you also have like the introduction to the world, so it's like a really good, like, if you're not going to watch like First Contact or something like that, this is a good replacement for that. I think it was just too much Star Trek at the time. I think people were just kind of ready for a break.
One thing too that I see as a big red flag that I think could easily, I mean, was probably the biggest thing that turned people off, is the intro. The theme song for this it's so offbeat. It doesn't make any sense. It is like a slow, I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure it's an actual song that somebody plays.
Yeah, but you know what though, John? I gotta interrupt because I kind of felt like that with Voyager.
Okay.
Oh,
we had such a good episode of the podcast, and you just ruined it.
If you don't like that, that's all Star Trek. That's Gene Roddenberry.
No, because I don't mind Next Generation. I don't mind Discovery.
That Voyager song.
This Voyager, I was like, oh.
That doesn't make you rock hard. Nothing will in the world, man. I mean, I don't understand.
This is a nice cruise in space.
Don't watch Enterprise.
I got a buddy that knows how to play it on like piano and stuff like that, and it was my ringtone forever until the Game of Thrones one replaced it. But I mean, that is such a beautiful song.
Yeah, I can see somebody learning on a piano. It's very simple sounding.
Yeah. Wait. Before you judge, watch the entire series, see if you don't fall in love and remember who Neelix is, and then see if you actually like the intro, if you're not like humming it, in the shower and stuff. But
did you? I just found out too, Neelix has his own movie. Did you know that?
I know he has his own cookbook. I have that.
It's called Cats.
Okay. Some shit talking going on. I just want to really quick mention the episode that we suggested that you didn't bring up. It's called The Living Memory. And what it is the Doctor, who's a hologram, wakes up in a museum that's like, I want to say like 600 years in the future. And he wakes up and he doesn't understand what's going on. And it's in a museum on a different planet, a random planet. And on the planet, there's two major races that are coexisting, but there's still hostile tensions because racism. And so he wakes up on this planet, and he's in a museum to the war atrocities of the terrible Hitler-esque Captain Janeway and the battleship Voyager. Mm-hmm. And they have like, it's so cool because they have like a, what would it be called, John? And like where you have like a fake version of something.
A replica.
Yeah, like a replication of what it was like on Voyager. And so, but like Janeway has like a crop cut and like a military suit, and like Tuvok is a torturer and stuff like that, and like B'Elanna's full Klingon. Yeah, he has the full face tattoo instead of his partial tattoo, and like, so it's like all super hardcore. Voyager itself has like straight up cannons on it and stuff.
Like putting on like black leather gloves to like torture somebody, kind of thing. Yeah,
and so it's really, and then so then the Doctor's there to try to explain like, no, this isn't what happened on Voyager, and their story of the planet is that on Voyager they sided with the prominent species, and then they massacred the lesser species, and so then like in the current day of that planet, while the species are kind of close to each other, there's still one that's a little bit under the other one, like social economically, and but there's this like guilt thing that's involved there, and then the Doctor explains like, you guys need to work together. The story you guys were told was all propaganda, and like this is how you guys work together, stuff like that. So it's just such a cool episode because you get like this badass version of Voyager that's like this warmonger, and then you get to see like the same story told from multiple perspectives, which is it's like a, I forget what it's called. It's a Japanese term. When they do that in shows and movies, but it's just really well done, and it shows it's like, and then at the end, I think the Doctor takes a shuttle or a rocket or whatever, and he's like gonna go try to trace Voyager's steps and stuff like that, 600 years in the future, which is all retconned because he makes it home with Voyager, but it's just a really cool like side story. What if, So it was.
I don't remember, cool. How did that peel off? How did he end up? Was he another copy of?
It could have been a backup copy of him, is what it would most likely have been, because he has backups. It would have been a backup of his. Then there's the one where he has to learn to sing. I mean, there's so many great episodes of Voyager. Yeah. The one where that is like a planet who thinks that he's like the best singer in the world, and so they want him to do concerts. And then they're like, "Well, we wrote this new piece of music for you. It's the first time this planet that uses math to communicate." basically. They're like, this is our first piece of music we've ever written as a planet. We'd like for you to sing. He's like, I can't sing this. This is beyond what a human can do. He's like, they're like, well, just change your program, make it work. He's like, no, I'm a person. I'm not going to change my program to sing better. They're like, okay, we'll just make a copy of you that's better. And then he's like, I thought you guys loved me. Oh, it's so fucking good. One more to suggest. Okay. They come across a planet where the time on the planet changes faster than it does on the ship. All right, yeah, Jonathan, you know.
Dr. Everyone that you love.
There's so many. Doctor's my favorite character. So the planet, they're watching it, and it's like goes through caveman, goes to Renaissance, it's like going faster than they do. It's like in a week they go through an entire like what else. So they send the doctor down, and the doctor comes back after like 10 seconds, and it's been 3 years for him. And they find out that the doctor thought that Voyager abandoned him. Well, but he could see the star. Voyager's a star on this planet, and Voyager's causing earthquakes on the planet by being in the atmosphere. He comes back and come to find out he had a wife, he adopted a son, he had a favorite football team kind of thing, and like it was this whole thing. It was just, and then like the very first NASA ship, the goal was to reach the star, and they get to it, and like these people get on board, and they're like, welcome, this is what the future, this is what we are. And while those people visit them, their families die and their children die and stuff like that because time travel. So like, it's like if Neil Armstrong came back to Earth 300 years from now. Yeah, so it's just, oh, it's so cool.
Well, what's the name of that episode?
I couldn't tell you. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
I just like shotgunned like 3 episodes at you that it's hard to not geek out about.
Honestly, if you like Voyager, start at season 1 and just watch them in order. There's so many good ones.
Yeah.
They're all amazing. So
that first episode's very old school though. I'm gonna give you a warning on that one. Like the graphics are at a 1.
Oh, I mean, I'm watching Next Generation. I'm totally fine with it. So I mean,
there you go.
Yeah, they're at Next Generation level.
Takes a minute to get some traction.
So our question for this week, real quick, what do you want the question for this week to be for everybody? And I have the questions from last week that we should respond to as well.
Oh shit, I don't know. Let's see about Star Trek. Okay, so here's one for you guys too. So this, I mean, obviously me included. What department would you work at? Engineering, medical, science, and command, and why though? Why do you feel like you'd be the best, and how you can provide better assistance to that department?
Okay. All right, guys, answer that. We'll be putting it on Twitter. Let me know when you're ready to hear everybody's favorite audiobooks. That was last week's.
Oh yeah, I'm ready right now. Shit, let's hear it.
Okay.
Oh no, John. First, let me get your answers. I'm jumping the gun now.
Oh yeah, I would totally be in engineering.
And I think I see that. I definitely see that from you.
I mean, of course, I'd have to learn, temporal mechanics and quantum physics and all that, good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be freaking amazing working on the warp core and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Really
totally.
Frank.
I'd be command. I'd want to learn work in command and stuff like that.
Fuck, we're all dead.
Yeah.
No, I'd like to think engineering would be cool, but I think I'd like command better.
Yeah. Definitely with a hat on. I would like to work in the science department, but I would not be able to contribute for shit. I would probably be the dumbest fucking person that works in that department.
I clean beakers.
But I'm like, dude, but I'm like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. I'll be like, I just fucking just gender in the science department, I guess. I don't know. Shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Science department.
One branch that Voyager has no other ship has is astrometrics lab that 7 of 9 creates. So she ends up making a lab where they study the planets around them and spatial distortions and pretty much everything they're passing. It's being documented. She goes through and like researches and analyzes and tracks more of it. So that's pretty unique.
Is 7 of 9 there during Year of Hell?
No, I don't think so.
You might not have seen 7 of 9 at all then.
No, 7 was in some episodes I just watched.
Okay.
Maybe it was just which one's that?
Maybe she was on the Void, because after like 3 seasons, they got rid of Kess and they brought on 7 of 9.
Okay, yeah, I think it was the Void because the Void is on the seventh season.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's the final one.
I know for sure she's in that one.
Yeah, Year of Hell is season 4.
Okay.
So
that might have been the season they bring in. They switch it out.
The end of season 3 and the beginning. I guess the first episode of season 4, I think, is where 7 of 9 joins.
Yeah.
That's like the whole
That's a good episode too.
Borg encounter.
Yeah.
And then okay, so like let's kind of wrap this up in a way with what do we want to see in the future of Star Trek, and then we'll get to the Audible that question from last week. So I kind of put some notes together of what I was thinking about, what I would like to see for the future of a Star Trek, and I kind of like what they're doing already with the jumping around with the animated show, and then kind of like the Picard series or the Discovery series. I want more different stuff. So I was thinking Star Wars was doing is I would like to have a legit anime of Star Trek. And the way I would want to see it is kind of since we can be more playful with the artistic stuff and not really have to worry about, the budget of, filming production, is that I kind of want to see something that we usually don't see too often with Star Trek is like that groundwork, like being on a planet, having to fight maybe like a different species for some whatever reason, kind of more of that action packed so we can have a different level of Star Trek instead of just being on the ship. And I understand it's all about, the Discovery, Enterprise, whatever ship they're on. I get that, but I'm thinking about venturing off to something, something different. Like I want to see that shit happen on the ground. The second thing is fucking give me some video games, man. Like, I want to see some video games of Star Trek, and you could do that. Like, I mean, I'm just envisioning one right now. It's like, okay, kind of like what I was talking about. Like, if there was an anime series of like that ground combat, is you could have the ground combat mixed with the space battles, right? Okay, with the starship, but being able to like upgrade your fleet as well to like having the right people at the right positions. That's kind of like a game I would think.
There's an MMO out for Star Trek, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like it. I've never played it, but it looks like it needs some work.
It needs some updating, but it's Kevin, who streams and has been on the podcast a few times, he's a big fan of it.
Yeah. Then other than that, man, I need more movies. Like shit, man, I miss them. Like those, that's what hooked me in originally. And shit, I want more. I mean, is there anything that you guys want to see that's totally different that Star Trek needs to like build on, like something, anything?
Yeah, I like what you're saying. Like, I want more content. Just keep making more shows. They're doing pretty good with what they're doing. I like it all. Yeah. Keep making more stuff. Keep diversifying. But I'd love to see a throwback. Like, just make another original Star Trek series. Like the Abrams movies were great. Make a series that continues where those movies stopped. Like just keep going. I mean, they put the same production quality, same money into it. That'd be amazing.
They're having a hard time locking down the actors and everything like that. They've been having an issue. They do have one that they keep going off and on with. The problem is they want to bring back Chris Hemsworth because Chris Hemsworth was Kirk's dad in the J.J. Abrams movies, but he played it before he was Thor, when he was cheap, and so they're trying to get him back, and they're not necessarily wanting. There's some like dispute on this finances, and then Quentin Tarantino has a movie that's planned too. There's a Star Trek movie that's really off and on and stuff like that. I think everything's off right now, but it could be back on any moment.
Yeah, it's such a shame, especially with the Chris Hemsworth situation. I know that's been going on for. I mean, that news is pretty old now, so it's like okay, it's probably not going to happen. But Frank, I know you said something that we're going to have Star Wars kind of like year round here eventually, hopefully. Is there anything that you want to see from that, or is there any?
My favorite Star Treks are always the time travel ones. I would like to see a Star Trek based on the time travel because we've been, especially on Voyager, they've been visited by like a future version of Federation where they do a lot of time travel. And in Discovery, we learned that there was a temporal war. I would love that. Give me the temporal version of Star Trek where these certain episodes are having to fight in their modern day against a war. Like actually use the I keep saying Kremlin. It's not the Kremlin. the Krenim. Use the Krenim as like the big bad guys of the series, and then so you have these like big war fights where they're like fighting, and all of a sudden you'll see like ships blip in and out of existence or something like that. Be really cool. But then you have other episodes where they're like, because there's always every Star Trek episode or series does this where they go back to San Francisco in some matter of time or whatever. But have that be a thing where like, hey guys, we have to go back to the Civil War and we have to stealthily, make sure that the South loses, or we have to go back to World War II and make sure that because for some reason Hitler had time travel, or like what I'm saying, like they have to go back and fix time as Starfleet. That would be so cool, and it doesn't have to necessarily just on Earth, but we could also see them go back to like before the Vulcans were much more. They embrace their emotions. That's kind of where the Romulans and them divided off. Yeah. So go back to a version of Vulcan where they're like warlike and just crazy and stuff. That'd be so fun.
And if it's a time like battle, time war, then somebody else is going back to assassinate whatever, I don't remember his name, the leader that created Vulcan, that made them logical and all that stuff. someone's going back to assassinate him so that they become chaotic and the Romulans have great power, then you have to go back in time to stop that assassination or prevent it or make sure time goes the way it's supposed to go.
Could you? Yeah,
I think that'd be awesome. Yeah,
we have to go back and save Lincoln because he's murdered a week earlier, so we have to stop the Klingons that are trying to attack Lincoln a week earlier. It's like, no, he has to die a week later. Like, even like that tight knit of a window would be funny. Not funny, but like really cool too. And then all of a sudden you have like Klingons that are trying to like stealthily act like they're like not suspicious at all in the middle of the 1800s. I don't know. To me, the time travel stuff's always the best. Even when they're just talking about like temporal shielding, it's really cool. But especially when they have to actually play around with time. Year of Hell is a great example of what they can do.
Yeah, and like the series, like you were saying, I think I would kind of like just an idea myself is that something that was kind of missed with Picard is kind of like that ragtag group that he was trying to get to just fly around in a ship. I feel like that was kind of missed opportunity there because I was expecting he would get more, but really all he got was 3 additional people. And it was kind of like, I want to see something like that where a team, totally different type of people get together. I mean, you'll have your like, your guy that's all about battle to where it's someone that's not really about that kind of stuff, and then here's pretty much like the Guardians of the Galaxy, really. All joined together for one. I mean, I would like to see something like that.
Jonathan and I have talked about that in the past, and your best bet really is to make a series about the Maquis, because the Maquis is a group of people who left the Federation because they thought like, no, I want more freedom, and Star Trek, while it's a utopia future, it is definitely very tight knit on what you can do, and especially in the military structure of the Federation. And so the Maquis is a version of people that are like, no, we just want to live free and do our own thing, and sometimes we don't think that it's fair to not kill somebody because they want to take things into their own hand kind of thing. So it'd be really cool to see a ragtag group that are the Maquis that are not only trying to make sure that the Romulans pay for this attack they did, but also like fight off Starfleet. Like, it'd be cool if Starfleet's kind of the bad guy, and yet you would have, I mean, it's just like kind of like with the Civil War thing, you would have like, my brother's on that ship because he loves being in Starfleet, but I'm over here because I believe in freedom, and I believe that the Romulans have to pay for this certain thing that they did. Just cool things like that would happen.
Okay.
And like you were saying before, Frank, mainstream that easily reflects to the Federation would be the Empire in Star Wars.
Exactly.
And the Maquis would be the rebels. Like it's almost a 1-for-1, even though we follow the Federation as our heroes in Star Trek, and the Empire is the villains in Star Wars.
Yeah. It takes very little for Star Wars to be about the Empire, not the rebels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also the DTI is what they're called, at least in the books, the Department of Temporal Investigations.
There it is.
Bam.
Very freaking cool.
Okay, so Frank, so what are some people that their favorite Audible book?
By the way, I have one more fun fact for you, Squeaks.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
The Prince of Jordan, his name was. I love looking at Jonathan and catch it right away. His name's Abdullah bin Halassin. He is now he became the king of Jordan. He was such a big Star Trek Voyager fan that he asked to be on the show. And so there's an episode that has an actual Prince of Jordan that's just like handing over a tricorder to somebody. And he went home and then created a theme park based on Star Trek Voyager. So there's a Star Trek Voyager theme park in Jordan somewhere.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He's just a big fan.
Holy shit! Looks like we're flying to Jordan.
Yeah, I know.
So you know what? Okay, so real quick then, I know we're trying to get to that question, but
I know. I had to interrupt you.
Is The Rock in Voyager?
Yes, he is.
Because I was scrolling to try to find these episodes. I'm like, hold on, this guy looks like The Rock right now. I'm like, holy shit!
And he fought 7 of 9 and lost.
Yeah,
that's a really good episode too, actually.
Okay, I was like, man, what the hell? They got all these guests. I mean, kind of like. Before, I guess they were really big and stuff like that with the Crimin leader as well. But another thing I was gonna I was talking about The Rock.
Season 6, episode 15. It's Memory Alpha is the episode. If you want to check it out,
you should watch that one too.
No, definitely. So yeah, Frank did that Martin Luther King thing about Star Trek, and it was like, I told Frank, hey, every like random ass holiday, there's got to be something like Geek tied into it. So I was like, okay, so fucking Valentine's Day is the next one probably. There's got to be something there. St. Patrick's Day, there's got to be something there. So I was like, Frank, you need to put these out because these are kind of cool. Little. I'll
find one for Valentine's Day. Push come to shove. Okay. I'll throw one out right now for you.
I believe in you. Don't even. I'll believe in you. Okay.
Okay. Because I got to really. Okay. Let's wait then.
I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool little fun fact.
Yeah. All right, here's one real quick for Star Trek.
Yeah.
In general, I'll just say this is a fun one. If you guys want romance in the air for Star Trek Federation or for Valentine's Day, so the very first black and white kiss was on the original series of Star Trek, right? It was between Captain Kirk and Uhura, and William Shatner was like, "We gotta have this kiss happen. We gotta have this kiss happen." And the guys over at CBS were like, look, we can't. I mean, this is just not the right time, blah, blah, blah. They didn't want to do it. He's like, no, this has to happen. But you know what? We'll do multiple takes. You guys pick which one you like. We'll do one with a kiss, one without. And so they had like an hour to get the filming done. So they're doing multiple kisses. They're doing multiple takes. And every time Shatner's giving a big old kiss, giving a big old kiss, giving a kiss. So the producer's like, we have one more take. You can't fucking kiss her on this one. We cannot have that. We need to have one example that's not. So they're okay. Fair enough. So then they finish the scene. They hug. And then he looks at camera and he crosses his eyes. And so like, well, we can't have you crossing your eyes. So they had to air the kiss. And that's the very first kiss on TV. So it was it was Shatner and Uhura just both being badasses. So
I mean, it's awesome because, I mean, I don't think it's conveyed very well, but they wanted to portray that statement. You know, they want, make a movement or however you would say it, towards like black rights and equality and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so Will Shatner's like, yeah, no, we need to have this out there. This needs to be something people see that, not only is a black person also allowed on my bridge to be a part of my crew, but, it's okay.
Which was
for
revolutionary,
a white man, a black woman. Yeah, back in that time. It was very controversial. So it's cool that, Star Trek's always been super progressive and like forward thinking. And it's cool that, they pushed for that kind of thing, even though the producers weren't on board with it because it's controversial and could shut down your show kind of thing. But, I think it was embraced. So
cool.
It
wasn't Gene Roddenberry. It was actually like the CBS, the money guys. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get into our last week's question, guys. Was what is your favorite audiobook? We had a lot of responses. We appreciate that. So we had Game of Thrones read by Roy Trice. That was by Geek Peak. So I'm gonna put that out there. I used to watch this. Said what's that?
Oh, sorry. You're still going with that. I was going to ask which book that was. Was this the first Game of Thrones, though?
I think the entire series is read by Roy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but he's saying he likes this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cage's Kiss. Okay. They said that they like TikTok by Dean Kunst. It was read by, I want to say Wong BD, I think is what they were saying here. We have, this one looks really good. So Superiority Complex. They're saying that theirs is a BBC production of Batman Nightfall. And they said it's really good, but it's hard to find, so you got to try to find that one. Crossover Collision said Predator If It Bleeds was a really good audiobook. And I've never thought, like, Predator, man, that does sound like a good audiobook because you can have extra sound effects and stuff. Here's one for you. Squeaks, the Oblivion Bar said their favorite was the Harry Potter audiobooks by Jim Dale. It's top notch, they said. So that's pretty cool.
Fucking smart people there.
Yeah. Unpaid Programming. Theirs favorite was Endurance. It's the Endurance book by Alfred Lansing. And there's a few more. So check it out, guys. We have the link up there. And then our next one that I will make sure to put up when this episode goes up, that you guys can participate in that one as well, is what department of Starfleet would you want to be a part of? So that's the next one.
Yeah. Oh, looking at that Predator If It Bleeds book, though, it's got 4.5 stars for 716 reviews, 12-hour long.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 12-hour one, too.
Looks kind of neat.
I'm going to change my answer, by the way, now that we've talked about it. I want to be a Department of Temporal Investigations.
Yeah, actually.
It's so much cooler.
Oh, that would be badass.
Yeah.
Shit, we're all going to work out a place, really.
Yeah.
I should not be in the science department.
Man. I'll probably be in the coffee shop.
Hey, but you can make really cool names for your coffee. Like anything like Star Trek related.
This is the cat, aka Neelix Espresso, and yeah.
Gotta do like a USS Macchiato.
Yeah, that's good.
Cappuccino.
Oh.
There you go.
Captain Kirkachino. Shoot. All right, guys. Well, that's everything from this today's episode. We appreciate you listening, and then we'll hope to see you soon. I think the next one I will actually be talking to, actually doing an interview. So no spoilers or anything. So this will be my first time interviewing, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, look out for that. All right, have a good one, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.